Her name was Shivula, and she's the daughter of Nkayanini, who's a female that's resident to the north and east of us. And specifically, I'd like to thank Claire, Chris, and Ellen, who sent me a whole bunch of information when she was born, where her family comes from, where her mother was, where her mother's brother was. So thank you very, very much for that, guys. I really do appreciate it. But now, I was making my way down to this area anyway this morning to try and follow up. There's a spot where we saw that leopard yesterday. It was not very far from here. But now the fact that the wild dogs might be heading in our general direction, I think it's definitely worth spending a few minutes waiting here. And for those who might be new viewers, we are live, so you are watching us live in the African bushveld, and we also are interactive, so we can take questions while we're out in game drive, and you can do that by emailing questions at wildearth.tv, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLIVE if you're on Twitter.
Is there any Chile train station that can copy me? Is the from Juma reception? Standing by, morning.
So that is the area where the wild dog's supposed to be coming from.
Go northern channel, northern channel. Standing by, same. Yeah, morning. Just want to double check if it's okay for me to come into your place property. I'm not there at the moment. See if we can get a hold of Ephraim on the eastern channel.
We can hear an Egyptian goose. Sounds like it's alarming. Craig, coming.
Standing by.
Craig, how far are those dogs from Cheetah Line Junction, Gary Man?
Apparently they headed south after Mobala, back on Chico open area.
Okay, copy, thanks very much. I'm going to continue on Cheetah Line then. After all that excitement, that's one of the things with wild dogs. They do change their direction so frequently. They chased, it sounded like a pushback, so they changed their direction. They were heading straight north, now they went straight south after it all. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Hopefully they will start moving back up this way. I will keep a very close ear on the radio. Darn it. My favorite animal, but hopefully our luck holds and they might come visit us a little later. But in the meantime, we're going to go look for some leopard tracks. But as I said, thanks very much to everyone who sent in all that information about Shivula. So I really do appreciate it, and it makes it a lot easier for us because she's possibly not an animal. I think that's the only time she's been seen, second time she's been seen on WildEarth Drive. Hello, lone gnu and a zebra. From Toronto, welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Lynn would like to know, with wild dogs, do they also hide, excuse me, the youngsters away like a hyena do? And do the females separate themselves from the pack? Well, Lynn, wild dogs are a bit different. Here we go, let me just get the zebra in shot nicely for you guys. So, Lynn, wild dogs are actually one of the more social animals in the bush. They do have dens like hyenas, and they use the same type of area as a hyena would use, that disused aardvark burrow. But the pack stays together. Generally, the only time they really get separated is while hunting, and they will then rejoin. Only the alpha pair in a wild dog pack breed, and then basically the rest of the pack, the whole focus of the rest of the pack's life is raising those pups. And I mean, a wild dog can have anything from sort of 5. Sorry guys, I just saw a bush buck running across the road to the left of us. And other things sound like they're getting a little bit more excited. So Lynn, I will be back to your question. I'm just trying to listen for a second. Sorry, Len. Back to your question. So basically, the whole Wild Dog Society centers around the pups. They're one of the few animals that put the livelihood or the welfare of the pups above the welfare of the adult, and they will often die trying to defend a den site from lions.
Stations have managed to relocate Dundee. She's on the western side of Chitwood Dam.
Sorry, just listen to the radio there.
Okay, come on. Okay, copy.
There's quite a lot of noise going on. I just really need to listen for a second. Sorry, then back to the question. So basically, you'll find all the animals apart from the alpha pair, they will scent mark and they will go through majority of what sort of the pack does. The only thing that they don't do is breed. In very rare circumstances, a beta female might breed, but quite often the alpha will then kill those pups. And they can have up to about 20 pups, one female, but they have a very, very high mortality rate, probably around 70-80%. So, and they're killed by everything: lions, hyenas, leopards. Quite often, wild dogs will leave a nursery sort of guard. So one dog will stay at the den while the others are out hunting. And the dogs that are out hunting will actually bring back food and regurgitate food for that nursery dog, and then also for the pups when they get a bit older. But the wild dog pups will start running with a pack as young as sort of 4 months, 3.5, 4 months old. They will then become mobile with the pack. And when they are mobile like that, they cover vast distances. So at this time of the year, they do den. And this is the time you see them regularly if you can find their den or if the den's on your property. But I haven't heard. I heard a rumor that these dogs have den down to the east of us, but I haven't had that confirmed yet.
There you are. You're coming to my dog. And a road. I'm still coming, Alex. Yeah, where's my road?
Sorry guys, just listening to the radio.
Okay. Better say the gunman quickly. They are running north now towards the old driveway.
Oh, these wild dogs are keeping us spinning in circles today.
Move quickly towards the Shita Old and then you come south. But sometimes when it's not really good, don't be there to Yeah, I'm coming from the I'm going to be putting out Roy coming in. This is number 1. Alright. Roy, can I check up on
it sounds like they're very close here now. Again, they've changed their direction. That's what I said. I didn't want to go too far from this area.
I'm right here now. Okay, looking at.
Sorry guys, you might hear me chatting to another one of the vehicles shortly. Morning, morning. Where are they coming from, Roy? This side? Okay, I'll stand by here. So apparently they've obviously missed whatever they were chasing and they're coming back this way. Fingers crossed, guys. Excitement. And they're hunting.
They are hunting. I will suggest I'm gonna move back a little bit. And come short, they're chasing into Little Garden. I don't think Vanna is gonna make it. I'm here on the open area. Oh, okay, I can see you. Enjoy.
Morning, Annie K. Welcome on Sunrise Safari. Annie K is just saying that zebra we saw a while ago looked pregnant to her. I'm afraid I didn't actually look that closely, Annie. I was very much focused on listening for alarm calls and stuff because the wild dogs are in this area. But it's quite possible. The one thing zebras quite often look pregnant is because they always have a very distended stomach because they are high in gut fermenters. So they have a lot of gas in their stomach. So a zebra always looks very, very round and in very good condition, even though they might not be. One of the ways to tell is actually the state of the mane on its neck. If a zebra is in bad condition, quite often that mane will flop. But I definitely didn't see a floppy mane. It's very possible that that one of those zebras could be pregnant. I'm afraid I just didn't look that closely.
And then please by the man in the area where they're running towards JC Drink Pad, they might cross over to Touchwood Gatera.
Morning, Patty. Welcome on Sunrise Safari. Patty's from Michigan. Patty would like to know, am I aware of any situation where wild dog pups have been domesticated? I do not know. I think it'd be quite difficult to domesticate because they have such an intense social structure that requires a lot of constant contact and twittering and whatnot. So I haven't heard of it. I think it'd be very difficult to domesticate an animal like that needs such constant social contact.
Copy, confirm there's going to be Roy following them in. And represent all there. Confirm they're heading north on G to cut line. Negative, they're almost the Gary Main or 19 Copy.
Dora, I've got visual of one of the animals. No. Okay, here they come, guys. They're going to run straight into us. Patience has paid off this morning. So let's see how many we've got here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, there's possibly a few more around. And 5. So it's quite possible they could have denned and the alpha female wouldn't have been with them. So we need to do a bit of a turnaround. Now we're going to hope they keep going that way. That's into our property. Guys, it's wild dogs! They're listening carefully. Definitely on the hunt. So huge ears. They're using a sort of incredible sort of satellite dishes to pick up all sounds.
Yeah, I'm going to head around. Let me know once they cross.
We're just trying to wait and see which way they go. Guys, isn't this amazing? I love the colouring. I mean, look at that front right paw. There's almost 3 little spots there, like on a dice. Now, it's a nice, very distinctive marker for that dog that we'll definitely be able to follow up on. But the Latin name for wild dog is Lichen pictus, which basically translates to painted wolf. And their markings are so beautiful. And each dog has a very unique set of markings. So he looks like he's going to scent mark. There we go. So they use their feces quite heavily as scent marks, as well as urination. Now, that is probably the smelliest of smelly poo. You do not want to drive over that. It's worse than lion poo. Okay, so it looks like they're on the move. Now, staying with wild dogs hunting is one of the more difficult things to do on safari. They can move at such high speeds. I've even driven next to them doing about 60-70 kilometers an hour for over 2 or 3 kilometers on one of the big access roads while they were chasing a little steenbok. Well, let's hope. Oh, there's dogs everywhere. Another one popping through the bush. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure which pack this is yet. Morning. I've got stations in the north. The I have crossed at Cheetah Cut Line Junction, Curry Main, and I'll mobile north along Cheetah Cut Line. 2 stations here. Oh my God. Make your way to just cuts west into the block. I'll try to stay with them. They're between sort of Leadwood Road and Cheetah Cut Line at the moment. So, as I said, one of the more difficult animals to stay with on the hunt because they hunt by pure speed. Unlike sort of a stalking animal like a lion or leopard that can take a long time to get to that point, they will flash an animal and then chase it down with incredible speed and stamina. car now on that old little link road that went to the old hyena den off Cheetah Cut Line. Oh, they've seen something. Hold on, everyone. Just try, dog for me. I'm going to try and make sure we don't end up in a hole. It's a nice big elephant path to follow. Still got a dog? I've got one. Sorry guys, we've got to hold on, otherwise if you don't try and keep up with them, they are gone and we're not going to find them. You could find them possibly on the other side of the property by the next time you see one. I got another one. Okay. So they obviously saw something and chased. Must have got away, and it looks like they've abandoned the hunt of whatever they were hunting, but they definitely haven't stopped hunting yet.
Brent, come in.
Standing by.
Brent, can I come join you?
FM, Sean was with me. We're now in the block between that old hyena den and Leadwood Road. I'm heading west.
Alright, copy. What do you think the best approach should be? Going main or coming to the block?
I think probably at the moment Leadwood would probably be best approach, and then just listen for my audio to the south of Leadwood Road and to the west of that two-track that went to that old hyena den.
Alright, copy.
Hey guys, oh, that was close.
Do you want to come to my NatGeo Wild? Yeah, I could, but my NatGeo Wild now. Yeah, well, they're between Old Music Kaya and Leadwood. Mobile last only western direction west.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, I think we're heading over. Okay, copy. Brent, I'm going to take myself off the vehicle, let everyone come through.
Copy, thanks. Craig, if you could try and get hold of Sean. I know he doesn't have comms in the north. I'm not sure if he's still following us or not.
Will do, just stand by.
Our best access will be on Leadwood from Cheetah Cut Line. Guys, sorry, I have to just try and get the other vehicles in. One of the most amazing things about having these wonderful little short cars is we are a lot more maneuverable in the bush than the longer game drive vehicles, which gives us, we can move quite a lot quicker, and with an animal like WildEarth, that's imperative to stay with them.
Station control line up from a Dutch link.
Come in, go ahead, Lee.
Number area, also interested in taking a standby from my
copy the, you can take first standby. They've now crossed Glenwood heading towards Mumba Road. It might be worth standing by on Mumba Road where that little drainage line dips. I'm going to try stay with them through the block, but it is a difficult block.
Alright, is that
Go firm.
Okay, thanks.
So guys, the wild dogs are taking me into my nemesis.
Hey, friends, come into the yard.
Standing by.
Hey, sorry, some issues here. Can I take a standby? Hey, standby too.
Firm, make your way. As I said, they're now heading into that block between Leadwood and Mumba Road. I'll try to stay with them.
Okay, Governor, so confirm on standby number 2.
That's affirmative. Ephraim and Sean was with me. Ephraim is making his way. I'm not sure how long they're going to stay with him for. We don't have comms with the Arethusa vehicles at the moment, but when he pulls out, he'll try and let us know via one of the other vehicles. Okay,
yeah, no problem. No problem, thanks.
What's the second one there?
Bridge coming.
Standing by. There we go.
Indiana coming.
Oh no, this is gonna go. There we go.
A bridge coming.
Standing by.
Sorry, it's, what's my best route in there? Leeward or Gary, mate?
Animals have changed direction. I'm now in the block. They're heading down towards Mulwati, near Twin Dams. Sorry, stand by. They've seen something. So guys, I'm trying my best here, but they are going into quite a difficult area. Chase something. I don't have visual on what it was. They headed sort of southwest in that block towards Twin Dams and the Mulwati. Oh, sorry, bro. You're there. Do I still have a cameraman and a camera? Okay, we do. Okay, the last spot I saw the wild dogs running through was here. I'm hoping that they keep checking behind us. They went into this really steep drainage systems for a second. We're behind us. Right here, a Franklin alarming. So you can see there's really deep drainage lines that if they do go in here, it's going to make it very difficult for us to follow. But I can hear a Franklin alarming behind us. And you see how quickly it was. They saw something, they shot. Standing by. These animals in a whole bunch of squabbles to the probably about 300 meters to the north of Twin Dams in the Moati, and just about 100 meters to the east of the Moati itself, in a whole section of the Lushkovas.
A couple of beggar boys just north of the junction number to that line.
So the last place we saw them was disappear into this myriad of very steep drainage lines. Okay, and yeah, more Franklin's alarming a bit further away from us now. Now the next trick is whether we can actually find a way to get through there. So far, I have touched wood, we haven't hit any big holes, and I haven't lost Brian or the camera. So, guys, I might have a bit of signal breakup. I do have to cross one of these very steep little drainage lines shortly. I'm going to see if I can get a car down here. Maybe we're just trying to find a spot where we can get down into the riverbed. That is not one. Just one tree in the way. It's a bit of a big one. Don't think I'm able to push that one. Stations, I'd say best place to try it is around the Moati to the north of Twin Dams. I'm busy trying to find a way to get down into the drainage.
Brent, you know you just want to drive off the edge there. Just go for it.
If I could, I would. So we haven't given up on wild dogs yet, guys. I'm just going to try find a way down into the drain. There's a steep bank on the side.
What are you looking for? Okay, copy. You're going to go into Weirs. Yeah, the changes my back. Copy. You got past first drop it all. Down in here. Copy. I'm going to be crossing over to Torchwood.
Might be able to get through here. We'll find out shortly. And that's negative. See, this is the problem with wild dogs. I don't understand why they just don't run down the road like well-behaved puppies. Okay. Thank you. So the strange thing about them is they could have gone that way and then all of a sudden they could pop up in front of us again. You saw how many times they changed direction while we were following them. This looks a bit more promising. So if anyone is a new viewer or just tuned in, we've been racing through the bush after my favorite animal, the African wild dog. They've been hunting. We saw them just disappear at a rate and not into this really thick and steep system of drainage lines. And we're just trying our best to find a way to sort of get back on their tracks and find a place to start following them again.
If anybody's got an update on some in Draw, this morning, quite keen on them.
Watch the thorns there. apparently everyone's very concerned about Brian's well-being. We lost Brian about 20 minutes ago. I think he's still... and the camera's just locked off, so don't worry, we don't need a cameraman, it's fine. No, I'm only joking. We try to look after the cameraman. Brian is still alive. I think the thumb might have been lost somewhere in that process though. Okay. Okay guys, as I said, we might experience a bit of a signal dip now. I have to drop down into a drainage line. Something really sweet for you guys. We're going to keep on the trail of the wild dogs, and we'll see you just a little bit later.
I'm in heaven. La 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 la. Good morning. Welcome to the Jigger, and welcome to another part of Djuma Game Reserve. It seems that our animal drought has been broken, I think, since Brent is back, having leopard last night. And now the wild dog. And morning, madam. Mrs. Elephant and her children. And quite a few Mrs. Elephants, actually. Got a nice family group that are on Spum Road. We're heading north, going into... They've just crossed Gowrie Main. I've picked up their tracks on Gowrie Main and followed them up Spum Road. Well, they hadn't crossed Spum Road. I thought I might go to Treehouse Dam. It's not very hot. It's overcast. It's about 15 degrees Celsius, I think. That's roughly 53 in Fahrenheit. Look at that little one. I thought he was going to dig in the sand. My name is Mark. VM is on camera. And if Brent gets a visual of those wild dogs, we'll go straight back to them, and I'm going to try and stay with this group of Ellies for a while. They're probably going to make their way out onto Philemon's cut line, and it'll be nice and open. It's sandy there, they might throw sand. And I'm glad I managed to find them, because I was way up in the north. I was following tracks of a leopard that came out of quarantine onto Vuertela Access Road. I followed his tracks all the way up Aubrey's Road to Sydney's Dam, and then he did a 90-degree turn and crossed Triple M going into Simbambili, right in front of the gate to the Sabi Dam. That little one digging there. And the drongo. I wonder what he's doing. Playing. There was a drongo catching insects next to it. Picking up grass, is shaking all the sand off of the root ball. Actually moving twigs out of the way to get to other greener pastures. There we go, there's a tuft of grass and another tuft of grass now. Just slapping it down once or twice to get the sand off of it. The bush is a little bit dense now, but I'm hoping that we'll get a little bit more open as they move forward. Let me move a bit forward. scratch a couple of marula trees, slightly more open grassland, although being a little bit more open means there's not too much for them to stop and feed on, but it's fine. I mean, find a position here where they'll probably just eventually wander around us, hopefully. This one will pass. There's a little one playing with a stick. Turn that off. Because we don't want noise now. So far, I haven't yet identified any particular ellies that I'm familiar with. I wouldn't know. It'll be a while before I can establish whether I've seen any of them before. When I get a good look at ears and tusks. Each elephant has an individual character and face and feature and temperament and mood. Some days they're moody, some days they're relaxed. I'm guessing we've got maybe 3 different family groups here. 3 different family units that make up the small herd. The family units themselves, each family unit has its matriarch and her daughters and children. And each matriarch would be most likely sisters who were once part of one single family unit when they were children. And now that they've become adults, they're the matriarchs of their own family unit. Questions at WildEarth.tv or hashtag SafariLIVE if you're with us and with these elephants. And now finally coming out into the open a little bit. Big girl. There's also a very big bull coming out to say hello to the family group. He's greeting a cow just behind the bushes, unfortunately, putting his trunk in her mouth. It is a very important greeting for ellies. He might come and approach this cow, or maybe he'll just go up to that other family unit. It seems that maybe he's only just arrived. Hello, little one. And hello, Mrs. Elephant. The fork-tailed drongo catching insects that get chased up by the ellies. More and more so in the dry season, because it just offers far more insects than if they were just to sit quietly on a tree and hope to see something moving. The more big mammals move through the grassland, the more insects are chased up by them. Grab something with his trunk and use the toe to break it off of the ground. In Michigan wants to know, how can you tell if an elephant gets a cold, like a human head cold? I guess it gets a runny nose. I don't know if they're susceptible to that, maybe. I'm sure maybe they are some sort of course they'd be susceptible to pneumonia. I think any creature is. There's a little calf trying to chase the drongo, but unfortunately it's behind the tree for you. Deanna, I don't know. I'll give up. How do you tell if an elephant has a cold? I'm going to try and move forward. I'm worried that if I start the car, it's going to turn around and run back to Mum. It's just... playing with the bushes. You've got to see this. I'm still behind the tree. Hello, Juliet in Wyoming. This little elephant was reacting to the little drongo. Juliet in Wyoming was asking about the trees. Do they lose their leaves, or they lose their leaves in winter? Do the animals have to rely on grasses? Not necessarily, Juliet. Unfortunately, that depends on which... Well, not unfortunately, but it depends on which animal we're talking about. Because some animals are grazers and they only eat grass, and some animals are browsers and they only eat leaves. And there always will be leaves. It will just the nutritional value of the leaves changes in the dry season. Not all the trees lose their leaves. But elephants are lucky because they have such a varied diet. They will eat branches, they will eat roots, they will eat bark. See, the trouble with being with a herd of elephants, you don't know where to look first. There's always something happening, especially with the little ones. That little one is probably only about a year and a half. Not even. This little one, probably going on about 3 years old. And I'm trying to move. It's digging at something. Give birth any time of the year, really. The little one was probably just called by its mom, or just realized that mom's moving off. That is back to her. This is wonderful, isn't it? Spending time with Elise. Oh no, it looks like I'm headed to the Arctic. But it is a bit chilly this morning. Oh, let's see. Let the others catch up. They're all... Oh no, they're going to be there for a little while because one of the youngsters has decided to take a nap. Let's see if we can go and have a look there where this bull is. He's with this other family unit, this other family group. And there's a little one, also under a year, that's lying down, and we can just see it underneath one of the cow's tummies. Got up now. They're all moving off to follow the rest of the herd. Tiny little thing, under a year. Hello, Marianne. in Arkansas, I think we're going to show you an answer to your question, asking if elephants blink. They do indeed, with very long eyelashes. Of course, now his eye's hidden. Trying to find my way around some of these earlies. Siblings. So let's have a look. Do elephants blink? Mr. Elephant, sir? You blink first. He's having a good time on this jackalberry. He's eating jackalberry leaves, and the jackalberry leaves last quite a long time throughout the dry season. The jackalberry changes its leaves in a very short period of time. They'll all go yellow, fall off, and the new ones will come out fairly quickly. And the rest of the family are actually eating bush willow leaves that are also slowly fading in color and obviously nutrient value. But they don't really need very nutritious things because they only digest a small percentage of what they take in. As long as they've got the right roughage and the right stuff. It's not a jackalberry, is it? Robin in Huntington Beach in California. See now that mother, that female, she's, where's the little one? Is it lying down again? Looks like that little one was resting again. There's the bull is sniffing at the little boy and sniffing the female. Calcium. The question is calcium. Where do we get the calcium from? Well, I think a lot of minerals they get from soil. They can't eat at the soil on termite mounds. They don't do the kind of things that some of the other large mammals do, like kudu and giraffe when they need calcium. Kudu and giraffe chew on bone, but I've never seen elephant. I've seen elephants carrying bones, but that is because it's just they just do that. They like carrying bones of their ancestors. Otherwise, there are some of the plants too, some of the leaves that they eat, some of the plants that they eat have calcium. It's making a noise and frightening the children. Unfortunately, only children. I don't think I'm going to get through here. We're just west of Spam Road, almost due west of Treehouse Dam, and it is middle of the block between Gowrie Main and Simon's Cut Line. Quite a dense block. See if we can make it through here. This Terminator will pop up afterwards. Could have missed the knob there. Black monkey there. Deanna, sorry, we kind of misread your question there. Apologies for that. Deanna was asking how can we tell if elephants get cold? Not if they get a cold, not if they catch cold, but if they feel cold. You mean like, do they get goosebumps? And if they're such big animals, would they be called goosebumps or turkey bumps? They would stick to rather dense foliage out of the wind and out of the weather. I guess also if the temperature is cold, we know that they must be fairly cold, but you know their bodies have to regulate their body temperature. They probably huddle together a lot more. How do you tell? I don't know. I mean, I could imagine that these ellies at the moment are feeling the temperature change, that it is cooler than it has been in some time. We are getting into the colder months of winter. In Arkansas, do babies find their mom by smell? Well, partly, I think, Joan, yes. Partly. But they will recognize their mothers by sight, by sound, by feel, by where they are, they're never far from mom, and they're only ever, if they are not with mom, they're with an older sibling. In these circumstances, I think in the much larger herds, when a child looks up and mom might have moved off browsing elsewhere, it vocalizes, and it's like most animals, even birds. I'd like to see if we could. There's changed now because the car's moved to the front, and I'm going to try and drive forward. But there was a very interesting thing how that female was actually caressing the calf with her tail. The calf was standing behind her, and she was making sure that at any moment, every single moment, she had physical touch with her calf behind her. She obviously can't see him behind her, but now I think it's gone forward to suckle. Station looking for Mark. Which station looking for Mark? Brent, come in. Oh, can't get anyone on the radio. Hole in the top of your ear. Trying to get her foot in there to break off this one. What she's eating is the recoppicing of these small acacias. You can see that they're a little bit blackened because there was a fire here in late winter, early spring, I think. Just sometime before we started in November, there was a fire here. And obviously, it was quite hot in places. That managed to kill off most of the top of that tree, and she's bending some of the dead trunks over to get to where the trees are regrowing at the base, what we call recoppicing. Hello, Mr. Eddie. He's sneaking up behind us. Excuse me, folks. Go ahead, Ephraim.
Yeah, what do you think I can do there?
Yeah, you're welcome. Very neat, dude, very neat. You see, now she's moved off because of him, not because of me. He arrived and she's gone back to the family group. So I guess it could be that there might be one of these cows in estrus, and he might be following on some sort of pheromone scent that he's picking up in their urine and their dung. Or he could be related to them and he's socializing with them. But it looks like the cows are keeping everybody in close quarters now. They're all bunched up. Shall we go, Mr. Ellie? Shall we follow the ladies? Just remember, I'm not in competition with you. I'm just a silent observer. Relax, dude, relax. I'm going to go this way. You can go that way. Might sneak under this tree with the antenna. Same thing, getting fresh growth from the summer. A few grasses, perhaps. Yeah, a little bit of grass to go with the twigs and leaves. The whole salad out here for an elephant. Morning, Brenda. Brenda's in Pennsylvania. Brenda's asking whether, when an elephant is in labor, whether she goes off on her own or if she stays with the family group, with the breeding herd. As far as I know, and I'm sadly, in all my years, decades of spending time with Ellies, and a lot of time I have to add living with them in many parts of Africa, I've never been lucky enough to witness a birth. So I can only say from watching it in movies and video, the whole herd gathers around her and they dote on her, and it's a family affair when she goes into labor. It's a very exciting time for the herd. So as far as I don't know of elephants that go off on their own. They're very vulnerable when they're in labor and giving birth, and I think because it is such a welcome thing for a family, the way they welcome a child into the world, it does become a whole family function. You're going to throw that aside, the dead stick, to get to the new growth underneath. And I'll grab it and kick it. When they're using his toenails to almost slice it. Well, they're not his toenails, those front of his feet are hands, his fingernails. And he'll do it again. The side swipe to the toenails, and again. There you go. Thank you, Mr. Eddie. Judy, morning, Judy. Judy in San Francisco wants to know if the big bull Ellies have much interaction with their babies when they come and visit the family groups. Yes, they do. They do. It's quite wonderful to see. Of course, it's very difficult to tell whether a bull that is coming to visit is actually a father of, the father of any of the calves. Kind of difficult to tell unless you've been studying. He's just marching straight into the herd. He's greeting the tiny little calf. I can just move a little bit forward. There's the calf right in front of him. We'll try and squeeze through here. It's a little awkward with a lot of vegetation. But he's walked straight into the family group. They were all quite tightly bunched together. And he's sniffing and tasting, actually. He's touching and tasting the females on their vulva. There's a little one just underneath his head, little one learning how to push a tree. If there's any interaction between him and that tiny little calf. Other mammals that has mammary glands between the front legs, elephants, other than us and bats. And anything, if you can think of any other mammals that have mammaries between the front legs, let me know. and time to move again. And suddenly the whole herd moves. Calves. Mostly because maternal care, maternal bond is so strong that a cow won't let anything get near her calf. But there are areas, of course, where it's a lot different. In Botswana, parts of Botswana, the elephants have it easy. Like in the Okavango Delta, for example, elephants have it pretty easy. There's 12,000 square miles of inland delta with waterways and lush green vegetation, and they do well there. But in the northern part of Botswana, there's somewhat of an overpopulation of elephants, in a sense. It's only really because elephants have a very small area of the Chobe River where they can get to the water, and there are just a lot of elephants that live in the Mopani Veld south of that. They all try and get up to the water at the same time, and well, maternal care isn't as strong under those dense populated areas of elephants. And Lion, for 20 more years now, have been hunting elephant quite extensively. Even adult elephants are big prides of Lion and are able to bring down elephants. And so the survival rate in a place like that is a lot different. Hear me, John? Annie and Morning Glory was saying that, of course, all the other primates have memories between their front legs. But Donna was saying the bears too. Bears also have memories in the front arms, front legs, between the front legs. Thank you. And that's interesting. Thank you for the answers to my question. Now I can answer one of your questions. Hello, little Ellie. If elephant skin is thick enough to withstand most snake bites. Yes, I think so. I just wanted to mention that they are at a site where Hayden and Peter, I think, saw buffalo kill, lion killing buffalo. There's the buffalo carcass here. This is going to be interesting because I want to see what... There's a calf that's playing with the bones. There's an elephant calf. So the bull is standing over most of the skeleton. There's a small one. He's just feeding. He's not even doing anything with the bones. These old buffalo bones. He's just picking up a knocked bone with his trunk, standing on a rib bone. Clearly not as concerned with buffalo bones as they are with elephant bones. And if anything, the calves are playing in the sand here more than anything else, rather than actually doing anything with the calf. I think it was a buffalo and a calf. Was it two? Yeah, the 3 kills there. Look at that little one playing there. It's trying to get up. Or it's just rolling. Or it's just playing because it's soft sand. Little elephants love soft places. Siblings grabbing its tail. That's what's going to help it up. Look that she's helping the little one up.
And one station with that under a door, which is about halfway between Carrie Maid and the Catline.
Thanks, Brent.
Thanks, Brent.
Which area are you working at the moment?
That was not very nice, Mr. Elephant. That's nasty. That was really nasty. He just backed up into them and scattered them with his legs.
Alright, thanks. Last update I got, I don't think there's
greeting, the cow's greeting him. Maybe she's the one who's in estrus. And the little ones are playing nicely, and he just came and barged in there and kicked them out of the way. I actually could hear that one kick when he kicked an older calf, but they're going to come back. They like the soft sand. This must be Mom. Guiding the calf away, the younger calf, and then it's taking the older one with her. Interesting behavior. Wow. I'm going to have to drive over the dead marula branch and got this one on my left here. I can't drive over that zebra wood, give me a puncture. It's so sharp and hard. Hope she doesn't mind. She can go through there. Mrs. Ellie, I know it's making a noise, and you're all trying to be quiet. It was one of you that broke this branch in the first place. Buffalo carcass. It looks like only one carcass, one big buffalo. Into some rather thick knobthorn thicket, if I remember correctly. I'm going to make my way back to the road. But they're getting best chance of staying with them now will be from the road, I think. In Nevada. Wants to know if a bull finds a female in estrus, would he mate with her even if he's not in musk? Good question, Kathy. I would imagine so, yes. also depend on whether the matriarch allows them to or not. Sometimes the matriarch will keep the bull at bay, hoping for a bigger bull to come along. WildEarth, everybody. Welcome to our wonderful wild world of elephants. Most of them have crossed and they're in this very, very thick elk-thorn thicket to my right. There's just a couple more that are probably still going to cross. So this is another... I can't even see who it is. There's one elephant just to my right, very big one facing me. Tusks are only a few feet away. But it's so dense I can hardly see who it is. You can see one broken tusk. Maybe if I move forward. Morning glory in Missouri. We're referring to that grumpy old bull that was doing some nasty things. Have I ever witnessed that before? I have witnessed similar. I don't know, it's just a bull being a bull. He doesn't want the children to have fun. What do I read into that behavior? It's hard to say. It's hard to think of it without being anthropomorphic. And whilst a lot of the time with elephants one can, because they do have human emotions, they do have... let me just take some of this off. They have similar things like jealousy and the kind of emotions that we go through. I don't know, maybe he was just, the children were having fun and he didn't like that. Hello, Mrs. E. This is the first one we actually came across, and that's next to me now. I'm going to move forward and see if we can see her better. She's behind the gory bush.
The last station is the KFI joint.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thank you.
We behave myself. But I think since they're quite invisible at the moment, being in such a dense area, except maybe for this one might be coming across the road to join them shortly. But I think if we can, maybe we'll go over to Brent for a little while and see what he's up to. And I'm going to stay here. I think, judging by the last few days, I'm not really having much. I'd like to stay with them for a while and see if we can get a nicer visual of them a little bit later. In the meantime, over to Brent, and I'll see you in a while.
Welcome back, everyone. Here you've been having a wonderful time with Mark and the Ellies. Just to give you a bit of a recap, we're not 100% sure, but some of the other guides thought it might be the Investec pack. It was quite difficult. They were moving quite quickly through that bush. But really great to see them. We did catch one brief glimpse of them afterwards as they crossed our southern boundary. So they did a loop in and out. So I will try to find out a bit more information for the afternoon, whether there is a pregnant female or whether they've denned, but they were the pack. If it is the Investec pack, they were the pack that lost a member or two to the half-tail pack earlier in the year. So that might have put a bit of a dampener on their breeding cycle for this year. But it's still great to see them. And then what we've been doing, we checked that whole area where we saw that little beautiful female leopard yesterday, Shivula, and no tracks for her coming back in. And we also checked where we had some strange male tracks and no tracks coming back into our area that from last night. So now I'm going to go check around the sort of northwestern sector, see if we can find any tracks here. But it's been a wonderful morning for me. As you know, wild dogs start sort of shaking and get excited as a wild dog. But yeah, we're going to carry on and see what else we can find. We don't want to move the car, but it's very distinct bill and some nice white windows on the wings and tail. You can see it gleaning insects. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, and off it goes. So there's one for the birders. Oh, we've still got him. Let's see who can identify that little bird. And you can send your answers to questions at WildEarth.tv, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLIVE if you're on Twitter.
You copy?
Beautiful, beautiful small bird. You see them in pairs sometimes, but quite often solitary. A very distinct bill shape.
Chatting to Brent, I don't think they've crossed back from Manuletti yet. They crossed over.
They're gleaning for insects, spiders.
The old airstrip.
That bills can be very important when it comes to feeding. Well, isn't that nice? You don't actually get a nice clear visual of that bird like that very often. So let's see which birders are out this morning. Hi, Sarah from California. Welcome on a cool, cloudy safari. Sarah would like to know, what is a wild dog's greatest sense? Well, is it their hearing or their smell? Sorry, 1 second, guys. Need to listen to this. it is actually neither of those two, although out of those two, the hearing is definitely the most important. But it is their sight. They are very much a sight-based hunter. So when they see something, they'll chase it. They obviously do use their ears and their nose as well, but their predominant sense while hunting is sight. Virginia, welcome on Sunrise Safari. Virginia is from Kentucky. Virginia would like to know how far back wild dogs can be traced in history. Oh, Virginia, I did actually used to know this. I've forgotten it. But they obviously share an ancestor with your Canis family, which is your dogs and your wolves. But they broke a couple of million years ago. I can't remember exactly how many million years ago, but they did break from the Canis family. That's why they don't share the same part of the Latin name. So a wolf is a Canis lupus, but a wild dog is a lichen pictus. I can't remember exactly. Sorry about that, Virginia. Maybe you guys can check for me. And if you do manage to find out, my memory somehow seems to think around 2 million years ago, the ancestors of wild dogs and the ancestors of the Canis family split. But I'm not 100% sure on that. So maybe you guys can check and send through the answers to questions at WildEarth.tv, or just use the hashtag SafariLIVE if you're on Twitter. So the reason I'm working this area at the moment is there's a whole myriad of little drainage systems in here that leopards like to frequent, and they can sort of disappear into these areas for days without being seen. So I just wanted to have a quick check around, see if we could find any tracks. Astralina, welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Astralina would like to know whether the increase in the wild dog population in recent years has assured their future, or they're still endangered and still under threat of being lost. Well, Astralina, unfortunately, they are still very much under threat. There's probably only 4,500 wild dogs left in the wild in Africa. And if we probably looked at the turn of the last century, there were probably a couple of 100,000 wild dogs in Africa. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is they were shot and quite heavily by man. They were seen as very cruel hunters because of the way they literally disembowel and rip apart a carcass when they catch it. And also the other thing is the domestic dogs' diseases like rabies and canine distemper. Because they are such a tight-knit social animal, one of those diseases can spread through a pack very, very quickly and wipe out the whole pack. But the Kruger population is a very good success story at the moment. They were down to about 100 animals in the early 2000s, and the population is probably up around 300, 400, which makes it a viable breeding population with enough genetic diversity to carry on. The other large pockets of sort of viable wild breeding populations in Africa is that whole northern Botswana into western Zimbabwe, and then also the Kafue National Park in Zambia is also one of the other big breeding populations, and the largest breeding population left in Africa is the Selous Game Reserve in southern Tanzania. What is that? There we go, nice old boy. Moving off the crest to where it's warm. Probably start moving their way down towards the water and drainage line shortly. Oh, I just heard that Marc's got something, so hopefully it's very interesting, and we're going to cross back to Marc to see what he's been up to, and we'll catch up with you a little later.
Now, having spent some time with these Ellies this morning, I think they're comfortable that we're behaving ourselves, and we're just here to share some space with them. They were all in some fairly thick bush when we crossed over to Brent, and I managed to find a little opening. They've turned towards Treehouse Dam. They're slowly making their way down towards Treehouse Dam. And one of the most remarkable things that I find sometimes with elephants is how they have the whole world to move, their world, and all these trees to feed on. And yet, like this one now, she's decided on her own, well, she's decided to come to us. And something that I try and emphasize a lot is that we can approach them to a certain point where they clearly get uncomfortable, and sometimes that distance it varies. The distance varies according to the mood and the terrain and what they're up to. But when they come close to us, that distance changes completely, because it's entirely their decision. She could have gone anywhere else but coming to feed on this particular buffalo thorn, because they were almost out of view about 20-30 yards away. And I can only see it as she's wanting to come and share a bit of space while she feeds. She's showing us her feeding methods. Now those thorns would be tearing into our skin right now. The buffalo thorn has a very straight thorn and a hooked thorn. So what was that for? To get a big piece of a branch so that you can chew the bark, no doubt. Yeah. Unfortunately, she's broken that other branch in front of us. But now she's twisting it in her mouth. She's taken a good portion of that branch of the buffalo thorn, and she'll turn it and chew on it and chew all the bark off. Can you move this branch, Mrs. Ellie? This one, and move it out of your way, out of our way. I can't see you properly. Please. I can see the tree break moving just behind her, so there's another Ellie just on the other side of her. was actually spitting a few minutes ago too. A little bit of a drizzle coming out of this grey sky that we have. Weather's changing and a breeze is starting to pick up. Oh, it's going to be the whole tree now. Really? Effortlessly trying to get to bark down at the base where she's broken it. Can try and move forward so we can see that better. It doesn't disturb her by starting up the engine, but it shouldn't. See where she's broken the base of that buffalo thorn? She's trying to grip bits of it with her trunk to get to the bark. Pushing it further with the foot to try and, I suppose, split the trunk. And now she'll move it, using her tusk to try and move it to the side. At least she's not moving it to this side. Now just take the whole tree out. Not often that they will feed on buffalo thorn in this manner, but it could just be that she needs buffalo thorn bark at this point. There, she's got a piece, and she's going to rip a tiny little piece. Doesn't strip off in long strips like it does off of the acacias and off the knob thorns. A lot of sharp sticks and a lot of obstructions down there that she's trying to move out of the way. And although her skin probably can withstand all the thorns, the tip of her trunk is probably very, very sensitive to the thorns. Now she's using her tusk. She's actually trying to get her tusk under the bark, using her trunk to lever her tusk. She's just managing to get little bits of little pieces. We'll be able to see it better from once she's finished, but unfortunately just the way the angle that we're at right now, much the same as some people would hold a pool cue, a billiards cue, with the finger and the cue going through the loop on the finger. That's almost how she's doing it with her tusk. She's holding her tusk in a loop and pressing her tusk with her trunk against the tree, and the sharp point of the tusk trying to pry away the bark. Given up now. See, when it's only a little bit of bark like that, I'm thinking there must be some property in there that she needs. But it's certainly not the flavor and as a food source. I think she more needs whatever it was on that bark. Or whatever, maybe, I wouldn't say an ailment, but maybe just something that she's lacking right now. Catherine in Texas wants to know if there are any wild berries in the bush that the animals eat. Yes, there are, Catherine. In fact, there are a whole range of methods by which trees encapsulate their seeds so that things eat them, so that the seeds get taken away from the host or parent tree to grow elsewhere. And whether they are in... Excuse me. Mark here?
Morning, Mark. Craig, how are you?
Good on you, Craig.
It's a little bit chilly this morning. They're still snatching at the moment.
Negative. It looks like we're slowly going to move down towards the dam. We're in quite a bit of thick Schlatine between Ishbam Road and Treehouse.
Copy, so moving towards Treehouse.
Slowly but surely. I think I thought I could see that Jackalberry that's just west of the dam. I've been with him in quite some thick bush for a while, but it'll probably still take a few minutes for them to get to the dam.
All right, sorry.
Okay, copy job. By the time you get here, they'll probably be at the dam. So yes, Catherine, the berries, some of them have some fruits, some berries, some seed pods, and sometimes the seed pods, like a bean, with some of the acacias and things, whose pods are palatable, edible. And all different times of the year too. I think the jackalberries have just been fruiting. The torchwoods are fruiting. They're not quite berries, they're more fruits with very big seeds in them. But just enough, loaded with enough vitamin C and enough sugars to make them attractive to animals so that they get eaten and they get dispersed. Ingenious, if you ask me. How clever trees are, being able to make sure that their children survive. Now I'm going to try and sneak forward. This little one is going to be playing on a log. I hope I'm not going to... See? Seems to be fine with my presence. So there's Mom. Can't go much more forward because I've got this cow's rump in front of us, and I can't. Hoping that we can get a little bit of a glimpse of this child playing on a tree. This is the mama that was hidden from me. You can see her broken tusk. She was very close to us earlier, just right through some very dense vegetation, and I couldn't quite see her, but I recognize her tusks now. It was the little one making a noise and an adult answering, but not the mother, an older sister. And now the female that's just come to, this very little one, rumbling, and a bunch of other children all coming together. That was interesting. It's all happening behind the bush. Maybe that's Mom. Because now the little one's drinking from it. Well, this little one went, and then that one answered, and she came out of the bush and rumbled after she answered the calf, and 2 other calves came running, one to its own mother, one to her. I guess they are daughters of this old lady matriarch. That was just quite interesting. And the little one called and the mother answered and came down. See that big? There's a bigger calf there that belongs to the older female.
Maybe you're looking for me if you find something for him. No, you're funny. Hey.
Wisconsin. I want to know which bush is commonly known as a wait-a-bit bush. I'm sitting right next to one, actually, Gilly. Knobthorn is one of them. You can see this branch here may be silhouetted against the sky. No, that's not silhouetted, but it's good enough. You can see those very sharp hooked thorns. Maybe even, well, that's good enough. What we call decurved thorns. In other words, the thorns curve backwards into the middle of the bush, and if you brush past this, they are such strong thorns that they'll hook your clothing, and it makes you stop when you're walking, and that's why it's called a wait-a-bit, a wakabiki. When you look at the trunk of the knobthorn, you can see why it's called a knobthorn. Because the thorns themselves, they just get thicker and woodier each year that the tree grows. So especially the young knobthorns have these very large knobbly outgrowths where the thorns were, the young thorns. So there's still a little bit of a thorn on the top of those knobs. There's still one here. 3 or 4 areas here that might still come through. Hello, Starling. Short 5 was saying that she's counted 7 ellies in this group, 7 calves, 7 youngsters. I haven't thought of counting, but yeah, it sounds about right. But we're going to go over to Brent, and I'm going to try and get around them again because it's quite thick bush here. So these are the last of them, I think, and I'll see you in a short while.
Welcome back, everyone. So we've been checking the edges of these drainage lines looking for tracks. We haven't had any luck yet, but I do remember, it must have been quite a long time ago, I was asked about the fruit of a monkey orange, and I searched but I couldn't find any. Today we have found some, and there it is. We're going to go past the common spike thorn, and there we go. So there is an unripe fruit of the black monkey orange, and that fruit is eaten by lots of animals like kudu and nyala, bush pig, baboons, a lot of other species as well. It is edible to humans, although it's not particularly tasty. People will quite often bury an unripe fruit like that to wait for it to get ripe, to keep it hidden from the animals. The pulp from the fruit can be dried in an oven or in the sun and powdered so it keeps for longer. And you can find that in some traditional markets in that form. It's said if you mix it with honey, it can last up to 5 years. So quite a nice thing if you are living in an area where you don't have refrigeration, to be able to keep something for a long time. Now, the pulp of the fruit is edible, but the seeds themselves are poisonous. They have a sort of a purgative effect if you do eat them. Now, the shells, once dried and the fruit has been removed, are used quite often in traditional instruments. So they'll make a little hole, dry out the fruit, take the pulp out and the seeds out, and then you can put stones and whatnot and block it again, tied to your leg, and it can be used as a rattle when you're dancing. So quite a useful thing. The wood itself is not very useful apart from firewood, but one of the more interesting things about the family of the monkey orange, it's a strychnos family, and its Indian cousin is the place where strychnine poison was is taken from, and from the seeds. And there was that sort of assassin or sort of gang cult in India during the 1800s called the Thuggy, and they often used to use strychnine poison as a form of assassination by either putting it on food, although apparently sometimes they would also put it on the blades of their weapons or on arrows. So that is the cousin of this particular monkey orange. And it's quite an interesting one that it fruits for a really long time. It fruits all the way from February to November. So it doesn't have a particular specific fruiting season. So we can find fruits at any time of the year almost, apart from sort of December to January when it's flowering. Anyway, I remembered that someone had asked to have a look at the fruits of the monkey orange, and we decided that now was a good time to show it to you. Excuse me. We're going to keep checking on the edge of these drainage lines, maybe down towards the Juma camera, checking that drainage line that runs up towards there. Well done to Michelle from Missouri and Connie from Oregon, who got the question to the bird we saw a bit earlier correct. It is a common scimitar. We do see them flutter by quite often, but it's really rare that we get a nice chance to have such a good view of one. Come on. We have some fluffy impalas off to the left. So you can see some of them look a bit darker than the others. Those are the ones that have raised their fur and have got that sort of insular layer of air between the fur and their body. It creates like a little blanket around them. You'll see a lot of the animal species doing that at this time of the year. Now, this is quite an impressive male. He's just off to the left, but he's got his ladies in a very tight little group, although it looks like one is wandering and back again. So obviously this male impala has got his ducks in a row when it comes to herding females. So as it warms up a little bit, you're probably going to find that they're going to start moving away from this nice sort of safe area that they've spent the night in. A little bit more open up on the crest of the hill. It's also a bit warmer, and they're going to start spreading out and starting to feed. The sun is fighting a bit of a losing battle at the moment. The temperature has come up a little bit, but it is still definitely not warm, on my terms. Probably guess it's between 15 and 20 degrees Celsius. Just a quick thank you to Ellen, who sent through a report of Kunuma and quarantine young male leopards sharing a kill yesterday on Arathusa. Thanks very much for that. I'm definitely going to follow up with the Arathusa guides as soon as we finish drive and see what the whole story is there. Thanks very much for that, Ellen. Guys, I'm about to go through a little dip. We might experience a bit of signal break for a few seconds, but I'll shoot through it as quickly as possible. And then we're going to be on that road that runs parallel to the drainage line that flows into the Gari Dam. Okay, there we go, out of the dip. So guys, it's really wonderful, all the information you send us and the questions you send us. We really do appreciate it. It makes our lives a lot easier and more interesting. We do really love hearing from you. And if there are any new viewers out there, we are live and you can interact with us and send us questions about what we're seeing. And you can do that by sending an email to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLIVE if you're on Twitter. Checking carefully along here now. Just doesn't look like any vehicles have been here yet this morning. And there is this myriad of drainage lines off to our west here. So there's lots of small drainage lines, very difficult for vehicles to get into. And leopards can disappear into there for days without being seen. So just checking the perimeters of this area, see if there possibly aren't any tracks of a leopard coming out. and the sun has made a slight break in the clouds, hoping it burns off the afternoon. Could do with a bit of sunshine this afternoon, don't you think? Marie from New Jersey. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari. Anna Marie would like to know, is there a difference between a wild dog's teeth and domestic dogs and the other canis species that enables them to shred meat more easily? Not that I'm aware of, Anna Marie. As far as I know, their dental structure is quite similar. If I remember correctly, I'm going to have to double check on this. I think they do have an extra toe that other dogs don't have. But I'm not 100% sure on that. We've got a little bird party here. Let's see if we can see the little ones. Oh, on the left. See if we can. If he hops into a bit of a better spot. There we go. Another one for the birders. Another slightly more difficult bird. Also quite often known in birding fraternities as an LBJ, a little brown job. But let's see if... Oh, there we go. Off they went. See if we can get another view of them. One of the more common little bird species we get here at Juma. You can hear them calling that. And if anyone thinks they can ID that little guy, I'm trying to find him again. Oh, they've disappeared. You can send your answers to questions at WildEarth.tv or just use the hashtag SafariLIVE if you're on Twitter. From Washington State. Patty's just saying she finds it very difficult to watch wild dogs killing another animal because of the way they kill, which is literally they'll grab on and sort of literally start ripping off chunks of meat while the animal's still alive. And she'd like to know, do I think the animals go into a state of shock and so they don't feel much? It is very difficult, Patty, as you said, but I think to a degree the animals do go into a state of shock. I mean, you don't really hear the sort of distress calls that you would hear with the lion or a leopard kill because it's so sudden and so brutal. But it's all near impossible to be 100% certain. So we're coming up to Gowrie Dam. Let's have a quick look at the area. see what's happening. No tracks yet, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to head across to Marcus, see what he's up to, and I know he's been having a fantastic time with those Ellies, and we'll catch up with you again a little later.
I'm not sure if you copied that, Craig, but let's turn it up. Hi, everybody. We've taken a big roundabout route. There's a beetle flying. To the dam. There. Landed on my hand and flew away again. Might be on my head. No, it's gone. It's gone. They are still coming down towards the dam. The tree that I did see earlier was in fact that very big jackalberry that is just to the west of Treehouse Dam. They haven't come out of this thicket yet. We're back in an open patch of ground, and I'm hoping that they're going to be coming back out into this open patch very soon. There is just one of the earlies just off to my left, and I'm sure the rest are sort of spread out there in front of us somewhere. Got a visual?
Yeah, just
this one. I think they'll come out into the open here.
Oh, it does make a noise.
Road cover.
Please sit here for a little bit.
It's a waiting game, waiting for elephants. Can I hear them crashing a little bit, breaking branches? I wonder if we should maybe just go back there a little bit. Maybe just a little bit of patience. We're not far at all from the dam, but at the rate that they're traveling, and obviously because it's not much of a rush this morning, the sun still hasn't come out. In fact, it's probably got a little bit colder than it was earlier because there's a bit of a wind that's picked up. So it's not that they're going to need water or mud for cooling as much as they might need a drink. And Treehouse is not the best of dams for drinking, and elephants tend to know that because it is one of those dams that is a relatively small dam, so it's starting to shrink. It doesn't have much vegetation in it, and it doesn't have the constant hippo constant hippo activity churning up the water, and so there is an algae film that develops, and the water, not great elephant quality. Elephants are quite fussy about their water. They like to drink fresh water. They're more likely to be digging in the sandy riverbeds for water than drinking out of Treehouse Dam. But they might go down for a splash. They might go down nonetheless. I think while we're waiting for them to come out of the bush, come out of the woodwork, we'll cross back to Brent and I'll let you know as soon as anything changes on this side. I'll see you shortly.
Welcome back, guys. As you can see, we've actually found a nice group of kudu. There's 3 males and a female with a youngster that I can see so far. But looks quite interesting. I'm just going to slide forward a little bit. And you can see there's the female with the youngster. But again, quite an old youngster that looks like it's pushing its luck with being able to get milk, so being weaned. And then as we arrived, the one male sort of tried to move towards the female, and the other sort of saw him off. So it is quite possible that this little kudu there, who's trying to drink very, very aggressively from its mother, is about to be weaned, and the female might be coming into estrus again soon, and that's why she has 3 big boys in attendance. Just going to move the vehicle a little bit, see if we can get a bit of view. Very aggressive feeding behavior there. See, even the mother, oh, that must be sore. You can see it's quite a large baby already. It's really got to sort of duck down to get to the udders. Doesn't look very comfortable, does it? Yo. It's quite interesting. We saw this yesterday, but not in this area, so I don't think it's the same two from yesterday. But it is quite interesting that the bulls that were around, which we'll try to get a good look at now. At the moment, they're just standing behind some bushes. As soon as the one moved towards the female, the bigger of the bulls moved her away, and moved the other one away. No, Mom's had enough. Yeah, the youngster might get a headbutt quite shortly. So just to the right of those two, behind that quite thick bush willow, you can see there, just you can make out there's horns there through the bush as he's feeding. And that's the male who's sort of keeping the closest watch on the female. So move forward a little bit, see if we can see one of the other males, the other two males that are around. Here we go. Oh, excuse me. There we go. So there's the two males. There's a third one to the right.
Bless you.
Thank you, Brian. Oh, the female's really trying to get away from the little one at the moment. And you see how that big bull just moved that slightly smaller bull away. Just going to maneuver quickly. Oh. Are we there? She might be urinating. It's be almost certain that that big bull will come and try to smell the urine. Well, that's a bit of a display for the other two bulls around there. Big, tough kudu bull. And here comes the next one. Also smelling the ground where the female urinated. Yeah, I can't really see it, but he's doing phlegm, lifting the upper lip, taking that scent over the Jacobson's organ, and that's transmuting a whole bunch of information to him. How close the female is into estrus, or when she's going to come into estrus. And the reason they're probably picking up and following this female is because the youngster's probably nearly weaned, and she should be coming to estrus quite soon. He doesn't do the display next to the same bush there. He just keeps following on. Hi, Rameh. Welcome on Sunrise Safari. Oh, it's a bit of a running challenge coming in here. So, Rameh was wondering what was going to happen with the youngster now that it's becoming weaned. Rameh, because it's a female, it will probably stay with its mother or in a loose group. Oh, there we go. There's a bit of... In a loose group, it looks like a young female. Oh, males chasing each other. So that one's just chased the one to the right. There we go. It's going to be a bit more... So that one just got chased off from getting too close to the female. Even though it looks like he's got bigger horn size than the other definitely has bigger body size. Now it's also a bit of a patience game, because obviously she's not quite ready to mate yet, but that's not to say she won't be in a couple of days. So you'll probably find that these boys are going to hang around waiting for their opportunity. And at the moment, just judging by the amount of aggression between them, she's probably maybe even a week off still being ready to mate. If it were closer, I'm pretty sure that there'd be a bit more of a fight put up. Horns would lock. we're just going to move around again. Quite a little interesting dynamic developing here. Just trying to get the best view through the bush here. You can see he's sticking close to the female. The other two males are on the peripheries, but definitely still in the game. That's why I think it's possibly not there. Possibly not quite ready to mate yet. I think there would be quite a bit more aggression between the males. There's quite an interesting sort of soap opera playing out here. And it's quite interesting. You never know what exactly is going to happen. So even though these two other bulls on the peripheries at the moment might not see dominance, they heard oxpeckers and they all lifted their heads. No, heads down again. So they're saying quite a... Oh, there we go. The oxpeckers we heard flying in, or heard from a distance, have decided to come join the kudu. So it's saying quite an interesting little soap opera. Even though that might not be, at the moment, these other males might not be the most dominant in this display that's going on. If she was possibly closer to mating, there is a chance that one of these other guys on the peripheries with a raised aggression level might take over from the guy who's keeping them at bay at the moment. And they're listening to something quite intently. Well, this guy's seen a gap. Moving a bit closer to the female. It'll be interesting to see if that other male is coming in and escorting him out. I'm watching you. That's my girl. So even though his horns aren't as big as the one that was just escorted out, he's definitely a bit older and his body size, you see the thickness of that neck is bigger. So kudu are not territorial animals like a wildebeest. They only come into competition over a female when that female is coming into estrus. They're such beautiful antelope. Oh, the little one's got all the oxpeckers now. Nope. Lost one. Just gonna move around again. See if we can get a better view of them from. Catherine from Texas. Catherine would like to know, at what point do these horns on these kudu bulls stop growing? Well, Catherine, they don't. They'll continue to grow throughout their life, but as they become older, they obviously start to grow a bit slower. Magnificent animals. unfortunately, it looks like they're going into some thicker bush. Let's try to stay with them for a little bit longer. It's quite an interesting scenario playing out. There you go. Actually coming closer to us. Oh, magnificent animals. Sorry guys, if those of you not sure what that clicking is, it's just me taking a few snapshots with my camera. You can see the ears are always constantly alert, picking up on things around, swooping in different directions. So they're listening behind us, behind them, in front of them, always making sure that I'm always checking out for predators. Because they often live in thick bush, those ears are one of their more important defense mechanisms. Oh. Breakfast. Such a beautiful animal. What is he seeing behind us? It looks like we're just going to have to sit tight and the female's going to move out in front of us, and that'll bring the boys along. She almost looks like she's trying to escape the boys. They're not giving up. That's why I said she's probably not quite ready to mate yet. I said probably maybe a week or so before. But these gentlemen, suitors, are vying for position, so I don't think they're going to let her get too far away from... They're not going to let her get too far away from them. There's the other guy. He went behind us. Anyway, I think they're going to go off into some thicker bush now. So we're going to leave them be and see what else we can find. Oh, wait. No, not while he's sitting there nicely in the sunlight. Wasn't that fascinating? Well, in the beginning, I was hoping that she might be closer to being in full estrus, because to see kudu bulls fight is something quite spectacular. That noise as they crash together. Well, there's the last male. Going to cross up in front of us. Twitter. Remember, I'm about to go through a dip where I might lose signal, and I will answer your questions as soon as I'm through it. The kudus. The female's actually covered quite a lot of ground to try and escape the boys, but they're not letting her go. Romeo was wondering how old do I think these kudu bulls are. Romeo, quite difficult, but they're definitely, I'd say, between 6 and 10 years old. Adults and in their prime. They don't look very healthy. The one with a thicker neck could be a little bit older, but than the other two, but I'd say the three of them are probably between 6 and 10 years old, so in the prime of their life. In the hole, it's still not warm enough for him to come out, says F. Brian. I don't know if you guys can see him. You can just see that. There we go. His nose, there's a rock monitor, is keeping warm inside that hole. I thought he might be out, catching a bit of the morning sun, but not yet, it looks like. You can see those claws and the eye and the mouth there. So that's the rock monitor. So that used to be a woodland kingfisher nest that he's taken over for the winter. He might have even fed off the babies or the eggs of that kingfisher, and he's now in a nice warm lined hole. We're going to go quickly have a look at that LBJ that no one was able to identify. There we go, number 1. It is called a rattling cistecula. We saw there's a very distinct red cap. I know it wasn't the best view and longest view, but there we go, a rattling cistecula. That was the little LBJ. So guys, it's been great having you with us this morning. We were very, very fortunate to see those wild dogs. I mean, the second most endangered canid in Africa, only 4,500 left in the wild, and we were lucky enough to follow them hunting for quite a while this morning. My favorite animals, it always puts me on a high. And then we've had a fantastic morning in general. It's been really great having everyone with us, and hopefully this afternoon we can keep it going, and hopefully you all join us this afternoon. So for myself and Brian here on this vehicle, we're going to say toodles and let you enjoy your last few moments with Mark and those wonderful Ellies.
Welcome back to my world of elephants, everybody. I have started off the day in the best possible way. Spending so much time with elephants. This is the young bull that we've been seeing. He's still tailing this cow. When we left him earlier, when you went back to Brent, he was quite far away from them. He's now caught up to them again. We're now on the road down to Treehouse Dam, and sorry, I'm not looking at where my cameraman's pointing his camera. It'll be interesting to see what he's going to do. He's coming up to this cow. She's hearing him and no doubt communicating with him. A little one reaching up to greet him, but he's not really doing anything. Unfortunately, once again, he's pushing the calf out of the way, and she doesn't like that. She's just checking her little one now. I don't want to move right now. But it was interesting how he's trying to greet her, and she doesn't want to know. She's turning her back on him. But he came up towards her rear to smell and taste, to see her status. And the calf was in the way, and he actually physically moved the calf out of the way. It's almost like as a particular individual, this bull has no tolerance for the children. He's like the grumpy old man that doesn't like kids. Seen and not heard type of thing. But I think he got the message because he's moved off a little bit. Once again, pity that it was right behind the bush that this was happening. They're bypassing Treehouse Dam. They're actually making their way almost from here in a straight line towards the hyena den. We're in exactly the same place as we saw the wild dog fighting with a hyena some time ago. Not the one on Buffles or Cutline, but we came around here, Andrew, myself, early one morning. There was a commotion. We could hear the hyena going crazy. And what I thought was maybe a lion kill and lion arguing with hyena actually turned out to be a pack of wild dog having an argument with the hyena. So I've got a feeling that for those of you who might be zoomies, or those of you who might have access to our Gowrie Dam camera or Djuma Waterhole cam over the course of our day, I'm sure at some point, maybe around lunchtime, we might find these ellies making their way towards Gowrie Dam. In the time that you've been back with Brent, the cloud has burnt away and we've now got a blue sky. The sun is out in full force. There's no longer a patch of cloud in the sky. It's amazing how fast it was cleared. It burnt away. It burnt off. So it might be getting hot, and that might need, or rather that might facilitate a need to get to the water for these ellies to go and have a bit of a mud bath or a splash. And then I hope that we can catch up with them again later this afternoon, because if they're on Djuma right now, there's a good chance, they're moving fairly slowly, there's a good chance that they might still be around tomorrow morning. Sorry, your tomorrow morning, my afternoon, wherever you may be. Eating a creeper. Hello, Mrs. Elephant. She's not a youngster, but she's not a very tall ellie. Come, baby. Come on. Time for some round leaf teak. Eating the bark off of the branch. Oh, and a fantastic way to end our morning, our sunrise drive this morning. I hope you've enjoyed our time with the elephants. We don't seem to have enough of it. I can never have enough of spending moments like this with elephant, where the world is at peace, in my world at any rate. My name is Mark. Liam's been on camera. Thank you, Liam. And thank you to Tara in Final Control. We'll see you at 3 o'clock Central African time for our PM Sunset Safari, and I look forward to it then from all of us. Cheerio. Love you lots. Bye-bye, Elise.